Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Onward and Upward. Karen and I are joined today by Denise Vargas, Tom Basie, and Brian Whedon. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Onward and Upward. Yeah, those. Okay. I'll pass it over to you, Kurt.
All right. We also call these Friendly Fridays, and we are aware that with our restreaming that this shows up on other days of the week as well. So this is the Fuel Us week in and week out, and this is all about our altruistic experiences and bringing out our experiences with nonprofits and sharing any roles we have and insights and this business of nonprofits. Emily, with all of us from the Happy Neighborhood Project, Emily was in a separate meeting with one of our nonprofits, Onward and Upward, sponsoring this podcast, and she brought up about Happy Neighborhood Project is so great to help professionals and for-profit entities network, and Edwin does fireside chat to have a good half hour to 45 minutes usually to have these type of discussions we're having here today. But she said, what about having a free, happy Zoom networking event for nonprofits? And so that got over to Edwin. He loves the idea. We have a kickoff on HMP Nonprofit coming September 22nd, 5 o'clock Eastern every Wednesday from that point on. And we have a tremendous co-host team, and so we have Alan joining us here, so we've got a six-pack today as we podcast. So Emily, you want to go ahead and continue the moderation and let the panelists here share what's going on in their life?
Okay, I believe Mr. Tom, you said you had a nonprofit that you really liked.
I actually have two that I'm working with this year, and I'll just do one. I think I'll talk about one, and you can come back to me so I don't monopolize too much of the time. But there's two that I'm passionate about this year. So the first one, it may be on your radar. It's Walk for Alzheimer's, and those things they have all over the United States. There's different ones that happen. So I'm a proponent of that. Clearly, everybody's familiar with the problem. Unfortunately, typically you don't have to go too far from home to find somebody that's been impacted in your family. I personally have had that as well. So I think everybody can get on board with that. And the nicety is they're doing a great job of marketing that. And so I'm going to participate there this year. And they are at different times too. So actually the one for me in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is November 20th, but there are ones I'm sure throughout the next couple of months you can get involved with. But what I'm hearing is, so I sponsored a team and I'm going to walk. I think people can even join my team virtually. And so reach out to me at basie.insurance.com if you want to do it virtually. I think you can use a cell phone or something, but I like that. So it's going to be a walk, fundraising, that type of thing. But I think it's a great cause. And I really do feel that organization is doing a good job of pushing. Because like I say, there's instances of it across the country, and they do a nice job. My website's nice. I got one for the teams. I can just kind of post it on social media and people can find it and they can either make a donation or sign up. So I like it. I both feel it's important to address that disease, and I think they're doing a great job. And of course, the final thing is there's no cure yet, but recently the FDA gave an approval for a particular drug that's at least been found to kind of undermine the disease. We're not curing it yet, but they're making inroads for it. It was the first time in maybe 18 years that they had some kind of breakthrough pharmaceutically. So that was good too. So I'll stop right there. I got another one I can talk about later, but that's the one that I like to mention off the top of the bat.
Brian or Alan, do you have any nonprofits that you're involved with or want to
I got one.
About it all?
I got one. One of the I like to deal a lot with the youth, because I think the youth are the most underutilized for ideas, and also the most underserved for some of the issues that they have. And so I was a board member for Big Brothers Big Sisters of El Paso, and that as a whole, Big Brothers Big Sisters is a huge organization that is just there for the kids. You know, you get a big brother, you get a big sister, that's somebody outside the family. If the family dynamic or the family situation is not ideal or not working with the youth, then going outside of the house is a little bit easier. But also, who do you trust? What do you do? All that stuff. Well, what Big Brother Big Sister does is it does all the background, does all the research, does all the checks and balances and everything. You have a case worker and all that. So they're very, very good at, and they have a caseworker that pairs them together. So it's not just like, oh, Alan and Brian, just you're together. No. And so that's a really good company or organization to get behind. The Big Brothers Big Sisters of, most of them are all over the United States. Big Brothers Big Sisters of El Paso is the one I was in. That's in Texas. But even if you go Big Brothers Big Sister National, you'll be able to get access to their programs as well. So that's all I got. I think Alan, what do you think? Do you have
Mr.
one?
Reisman, anybody have any thoughts?
I mean, there are so many wonderful national nonprofits, 2 national ones that I'm involved in, the March of Dimes for premature babies, and also the ALS Foundation for those suffering from ALS later in life, are 2 that I'm passionate about.
Tell us a little bit more about the second one. That's not on my radar.
So ALS is where you unfortunately lose your ability to walk, speak, and have function. And it's typically a 3-year disease. My mom had it, my grandfather had it. So it's one I care deeply about. The other one, March of Dimes, is for those who are premature. I was 3 months premature back in 1987. And at that time, there wasn't as much medical technology as there is today. So that's another one I care deeply about.
Isn't that crazy? In 1987, there was not enough fill in the blank. You're like, that's not long ago.
It's not long ago, but I mean,
I do have,
technology is incredible.
most definitely. I do have 2 people that I've known that I've lost because of ALS, and it's very destructive, and it's very, very quick in its progress, or how it works.
I guess what I wanted to hear more about was the March of Dimes. I'm quite familiar with it. There's an organization that's fighting ALS or working towards development. That's what I wanted to hear about. I don't know that. How does one support fighting against ALS?
Well, so there's ALS chapters all over the country. I'm a part of the ALS chapter in Philadelphia, but if you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge years ago, that really brought ALS to the forefront. But if you Google ALS in your city, I guarantee you'll find the organization doing research in your community.
Very good. Thank you.
And it's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, right? That's the
Yes.
Right.
That's the one.
Yep.
And they're one and the same.
Yeah, Lou Gehrig was the most famous person to get ALS, and that's why it was named after him. Unfortunately, but yeah, it's an awful, awful disease.
Yeah. And both of those people that I know served in the military. No connection, but those are the 2 that I know.
Denise or Kurt, do you have any thoughts on anything?
I could actually
going on?
chime in on that a little bit. So I do have a disability very, very similar to ALS. It's called spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA. It is very similar, actually. They're both progressive, but it's very interesting that we touched on the subject of technology and advancements, because, before, I'm 53, excuse me, I'm 53 years old, but before there was no treatment for what I have. And thanks to all these great, organizations. So, support your nonprofit folks, because of supporters like all of you out there listening, because of supporters like you, we were able to have the funding that we need in order to make these advancements, so that diseases like ALS, diseases like SMA, diseases like Alzheimer's, my mom is going through dementia now, and it's really difficult. So absolutely, we have the capability if we all work together, the brothers and sisters, it's amazing how many children do not have the support in their families. So to be with a big brother, a big sister, to help them get motivated to do something with all these beautiful organizations, please pick 1 or 2 or 3 of your favorite organizations. And hey, you don't have to give a lot, just give whatever you can. Because if we all did, like, listen, there are billions of people in the world. If all these billions of people gave $1, wow, what an impact that would be, right? So for sure, connect with your favorite organization, donate to them, donate your time also, because they need volunteers to help out and do things for their events. So connect that way as well. But hey, anything that you can donate financially, this is what's going to get us, get people like me up and walking, right? It's like, listen, I run around in my head all the time, but how cool would it be to run alongside you? So for sure, donate, and just support your favorite organization. For me, as I mentioned, it is SMA Cures. So look them up, or just any one of us. Just go ahead out there and find one that you truly love and resonates with you.
It sounds like some good advice.
Gary, do you have any thoughts going forward here?
Yeah, I want to bounce back to the big brothers, big sisters thing, because I happen to, in some sense, I'll say I am a big brother. I mean, it's pretty much a program that's for adults with youth, but screen sharing here to show you who my little brother is. But look at this guy here. This is Sergeant Thomas Conlon, U.S. Marine Corps. So yeah, he's from my area here in Wisconsin, and so I can't say enough things for my little brother here, but this is all part of what he did as part of the Team Marine Corps in this event here. So the Warrior Games. So yeah, it's interesting being able to form those relationships through the nonprofits, and just trying to do good work, but the benefits just keep spreading, and it's an ongoing thing. It can be this lifelong impact that I can't say enough for. So Emily, there you go. That's my thought of the moment.
Okay. Ben, did you want to bring up about your second nonprofit?
There was another one I wanted to talk about, yes, that I'm working with and I'm passionate about. So I joined a local chamber of commerce, and I was introduced to a school called Cristo Rey, and they actually have, I think, 30 plus campuses. I don't know the exact number across the U.S. Here in Texas, there are actually at least 3. But so I'm the local one to me. And there's public schools and private schools and charter, and they're kind of like that. I think they're in the charter space. But what I like about them is they serve underprivileged students from the area, and they really emphasize work study. And I mean, they emphasize it to the extent that one day a week the student does go and work, and they work in a real significant company, like a local hospital or a big engineering firm. So it's impressive to me that they're doing that. So I like their concept. I like what they're doing. I've done a couple things for them already. The first thing, they've done a good job, and they had a mentorship program. So actually I mentored 2 kids. And so basically once a week I would have a Zoom meeting for the past X number of months before the summertime, and just mentored 2 of their kids. And mentoring for them, they did a great job of providing the dialogue. So weekly, hey, here's a PowerPoint presentation, all you mentors, just go through and talk with these people. So sometimes it was goal setting. Sometimes it was college interest. Sometimes it's professionalism. Sometimes it's social media do's and don'ts, but I was very impressed with that program, so I liked the school and I like what they had going on. The second thing that I did for them later this year is another thing that will be kind of obvious to you is mock interviews. So we were talking a little earlier amongst ourselves about kind of speed interviewing, that kind of thing. And so I would go over there and I sat, and so for 10, 15 minutes at a time, and kind of rotate through a bunch of students, and we do mock interviews. So I liked it. So I like the school. I like its target demographic. I think it's doing a great job, and I enjoyed participating. So I would encourage somebody to do something like that. You know, kind of hear about Big Brother as an example. It's kind of a similar yet different thing. So that's my second share for you today.
Oh, thank you. Denise, do you want to talk about anything non-profit you're involved with?
Well, again, I two of the things that I'm really passionate about are the two that I mentioned for my disability. And well, just, you know, it's interesting. You know, again, like about the ALS, is that they're all in neuro, it's all a neuro disease, right? So, and there's so many, I mean, there's so many that we don't even know about. So it's again, just if there's something that you've heard in today's message is anything can happen to anyone. So just be on top of as much as you can, of course, you know, just look things up, and, you know, just when you hear about something in one of our discussions, you know, Google it, see what pops up and how you can help, and just getting informed, because the more that you are informed, the more you can then go and help someone else, you know, whether you need it personally or whether you know someone that might need it. Information is power, power for others, power for you. And the more informed that we are as a society on the whole, it's just what great change can we then bring to our society.
Yeah. Brought up something that was pretty interesting. It's also a proven fact. Of course, I didn't do the study. That's way above my pay grade and all that, but it's been proven that you know, as the pandemic, you know, started and stayed and then overstayed its stay, we you know, we get down, we get depressed, we get sad, we get all these emotional you know, we have these emotional feelings and thoughts and everything else. And it's been proven that if you go and help somebody else, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, you know, I'm going to start an organization. If you want to, go ahead and do it. But it's just, hey, I'm going to go help my, you know, my elderly neighbor. I'm going to bring in their trash can. I'm going to, you know, we don't have this problem here in El Paso, but when I was in South Korea, it snowed a lot, and I had a neighbor that was very that was elderly and didn't go out very often. So I shoveled her patio when I shoveled mine, and it helps you psychologically, and it helps that other person who may or may not know that you did that for them. That's one thing that they, you know, that they're thankful for, and so everybody wins. Everybody helps their, you know, just their overall happiness. And is if you help people, people will help you, and your ideas, your mindset will start to change into a more positive sense. So that was my.
Absolutely. Yeah, mindset is so powerful. I always tell people that I try and get people from the I can't mentality into how can I, and that's not so much because of my disability or what I do in my business, but it's just really, it's a great mindset to have. So how can I help? How can I, rather than I can't. Because we can do a lot together.
It's also, you know, if I'm talking to Kurt and I say, hey, how can I help you? Kurt might say, I'm good. You know, just because that's human nature. That's what we don't want to, you know, hey, let me know when I can, when I can help you, all this stuff. But it's also, what can I do for you today to help you? You know, and that's also, you know, just trying to be a better human, because we definitely need those, you know, so.
And just, yeah, absolutely being a better human and helping today, helping at that moment. And sometimes they might all say that they're okay. Sometimes you just need a friend at that moment, like just someone that you can talk to, spend some time with, especially as we're trying to get back to some sort of normal world. You know, a lot of people, they want that connection that I've been isolated for so long, even if I've been, you know, doing other things. But even in the virtual world, you know, where sometimes a lot of us are together in a lot of these rooms, we're networking, we're hanging out, but then there's like that very awkward, long silence. And it's just, hey, just let's chat about anything. I mean, granted, today we are actually talking about nonprofits and how we can support each other in that world. But sometimes you just want to kick up, you know, have your favorite beverage of choice and just relax and have fun, right? Not talk about all of our challenges and whatever things is stressing us. Just that moment of peace and relaxation, because we have someone that we can get together and just chat, right? Friendly Friday. It's all about being happy and friendly and relaxed.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Emily, for hosting this.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys are welcome back anytime. But it sort of goes back to the whole idea sort of behind H&P nonprofit, where it's more of the nonprofit, but businesses are welcome into it, you know, for nonprofits to kind of like collaborate with like other businesses as well as other nonprofits.
Now, Emily, when is H&P nonprofit coming on air?
September 22nd.
Mark your calendar, guys. September 22nd. What time?
5 Eastern.
So we're all gonna be there.
I know Mr. Reisman said he was going to be there for sure.
Wouldn't miss it.
But yeah, invite everybody you know and so on. We'd like to get a big group there, not just for the 22nd, but for like ongoing as well. So anybody that's has anything to do related to nonprofits, either if they have their nonprofit of their own or volunteering for one or anything like that. Right, Kurt? Anything to add to about our nonprofit group?
I think Kurt's thinking about skiing right now. He's kind of
I'm sure he probably is.
Yeah, this is the time I can, because it hurts to think about it in about a week, because I've been doing 2 or 3 days a week out on the lake all summer long, and Labor Day is the last hurrah. And so, yeah, it's kind of that bittersweet set of days here. So, yeah, you caught me. So, but in terms of nonprofit work, I hope everybody knows that there's two things that sustain nonprofits. Does that sound right? Do we think we can come to agreement that there's two things that sustain nonprofits? So what might the two things be, or what's one of the two things, if not both of the things? Anybody got
One of them
any?
is people.
What is it?
People.
People. You need people. They need people.
You need people. And what would be the second thing?
I would say donations and volunteer time.
Funding.
Funding. Yeah, volunteer time. So volunteer time comes from the people. And we're talking about donations and so forth and funding. So that's money. So it's people and money, sustain nonprofits. So in terms of HMP nonprofit, I think that's the beautiful thing about the Happy Neighborhood Project is HMP is perfectly poised to help nonprofits on both of those. And today I was very pleased to be at or in a breakout room with Worldwide with but I'm going to blank on his name, Sekunik, Ron
Sekunik.
Yeah, he had quite a proposition. I think it shows tremendous leadership in what he brought to us in that breakout room. He said what he's willing to do in his professional work is he has a definite discount that is available as he looks at the cost to pay for what he provides. He said he is more than happy to take a look that if somebody is at a financial barrier or like hesitant to join the Happy Co-op and to become a verified Happy business member, but if they receive his services and instead of paying him, that they would pay headquarters with the Happy Neighborhood Project to be a verified Happy business, a Happy Co-op member. And if they would do that, he'd be more than happy to forego that money in exchange for his businesses, as a discount. So I think that's a novel idea. And I would like to, I'm not a paid member, so I'm not even, paying myself, but that's quite a thought to look at the whole field. I forget if there's, I don't know if is it only like 600 some members, at least as of a few weeks ago. I think it was like 600, even between free and paid, I think was just at 600 members, period. I'm hoping that grew in the last few weeks. I'm hoping the number is like over 1,000, but I don't know. I don't know how far it moved from 600 something. But whatever the field is, to spread that notion around, because if there are paid members that actually would have that business model and that profit margin and be able to work it like Ron's working it, that'd be exciting to see that catch on, that it's not just Ron doing that. So I guess we can maybe be messengers here for that type of thing. But as we're reaching some folks on YouTube and such, we're speaking to something that we're going to reach audience members that don't know what the Happy Co-op is. So Emily, want to make sure that we are not losing anybody and cover what is the Happy Co-op.
Okay, so the Happy Co-op was just started just like a couple months ago. And there, you can either be a free member or a paid member. And you can earn points from doing, I think, about anything from like attending events to referring somebody to other stuff. And there's a lot of benefits to it. Gary, you want to add on to that?
Well, I'd be happy to. There's a nice little landing page for the Happy Co-op. It's thehappycoop.com. And so I believe everybody in our panel here is either paid or free, right? I think Denise is a share member, right, Denise?
Yes, I am.
And then are you three gentlemen, are you all free members?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, so free members, same as me, same as Emily, right? You're a free member. See,
Mhm.
that's how it works, free or share member. And so my point then to the nonprofits is I would like to propose to the Happy Neighborhood Project community and to each of you individuals out there to think about how exciting would it be for nonprofits that as people look to financially support the nonprofit, how about within that process that we create a transaction where the nonprofit has their share membership covered. So now you have nonprofits coming into the Happy Co-op. They're going to be able to keep infusing their budgets with the payouts to have the Happy Co-op constantly paying all these nonprofits, and that the nonprofits don't have any expense because somebody is coming philanthropically to cover the cost of being a Happy Co-op member, share member, and to create that dynamic that becomes a win-win-win, doesn't it? So yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting things that are going to come, and we're talking about Google Docs, Google tools, and to create collaborations, with H&P nonprofit, and something that I'm hopeful to keep working on is here at Onward and Upward. We kind of did a check-in with Edwin, kind of thinking of what would it be to have H&P Onward, and so far what we're looking at is maybe timing of it, or maybe it'll forever be this way. But the initial reaction was H&P Onward is a little too specific because it's inspired from responding to homelessness, houselessness, home insecurity. But in terms of the practice of happiness, I'm like, to me, I think there's a crucial, pretty widely accepted aspect, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are basic needs. So when we're looking at food, shelter, and clothing and so forth, these are basic needs. And I think that there is a place to make that a priority item as we keep growing at some point in the future. I'm hoping there's an intersection at some point where the concepts we have grown out of our proposal of H&P Onward, which isn't working out at the present time, but I'm hoping as we grow, we can grow to this convergence where H&P Onward does find its place in the Happy Co-op and the Happy Neighborhood, and with free Happy Zoom networking, because I think it's very important to bring into our networking, and as we share resources and help make things happen, that we make it a thing that people can be happy, because once and for all, we're starting to put basic needs at the front of the line of our conversation. I've been networking with H&P for over a year, and this concept of basic needs has not been much on the radar as we've been having our conversations. So I think this is a necessity, and it's all things right people, right place, right time. So I think we checked in on it because we feel we're with the right people at the right place. But as we collaborate, it's not yet the right time. But I want to keep planting that seed of greatness, because I'm looking forward to turn that corner where we'll be excited about H&P Onward.
One step at a time.
Well, exactly.
It was a first, just getting H&P nonprofit going. They're getting Edwin to approve that. So,
and we experienced that with H&P Ability, because Denise has a fantastic idea about H&P D2D, which means it would be actually an exclusive group, like B2B is an exclusive group, that we'd have D2D, which is an exclusive group. And that too, we feel we're at the right place at the right time and we have all the ingredients there, but it's not the right time. The thing that we need the community to do is to help us grow, like H&P Black Entrepreneurs. Wow, the follow-up today with 100 people in that that tribe, that community, that nation rising up and showing the way that a specific group can have 100 people networking at the same time. It's not just H&P worldwide, and so when we get things like H&P ability to that point, I believe that we'll be at that day, and a little bit of the concern is if you're exclusive and you're saying, okay, now you're defining a networking experience based on your qualification of having a disability, that could be a little wonky and could get the co-op and H&P in trouble. But I propose we got 75 groups. I'm like, how could any authority take a look at what we're doing here at the Happy Neighborhood Project? And because we have an exclusive group, that now all of a sudden there's any sanction that the world could put onto our community. I just I struggle to, I appreciate to protect our community because we don't want anything to come and impede upon this great growing community that we have. But I find it really exciting how we are going deep. We're taprooting and we're innovating and engineering, imagineering. I just think the creativity, to be able to live creatively in this Happy Neighborhood Project. Denise, what do you think about that? I think you should be leading the way, Denise. I think you should be like an admiral, of the Happy Neighborhood Project, because you got the tiger by the tail. It's redesign your life through happiness. What do you think, Denise?
Always living creatively. Always, always. Hey, you got to do that because, we live in a society, excuse me, in a society where we're always growing and changing, and you don't want to get stuck somewhere, right? You want to grow with the times. And what a magnificent platform that we have here with H&P. It's just amazing that we can connect with people all over the world. Like I was in Australia the other day. I've been to India. I'm going to go now to Germany because I've never been to Germany. I want to go down there. So I'm going to hop on my virtual plane and go and network with all these amazing people all over the world. And how great that we would be able to ask them to come and support us on whatever H&P event we're having at that moment that we really want to get people to come and support us, like H&P nonprofit, H&P ability. I mean, just all of the 50 states. I mean, we're gonna listen. I believe wholeheartely. Was actually just sending a message to someone earlier that I believe wholeheartedly that we're gonna have H&P 24-hour platform of networking. How phenomenal will that be? So that when people move to the Philippines and they want to make, have business here in the States because they're a night person and they can work our 9-to-5 system over here. How phenomenal is that? Definitely, we need to get together. If you have not been to H&P yet, come join us. We have over 70 plus events that you can join. There's going to be a time that you're able to connect to. We even have people come networking in their car. They park and they're safe, but we have people with us from everywhere, in every corner of the world, in every corner of their office, even in every little corner of their car. So come with us, live creatively, create the life, the business that you want by being with us. Help those nonprofits you know what? That's another way. We can be creative in how we help these nonprofits. Not everyone has the financial means, but we have the creativity. So we can help each other in so many different ways. And it just like Kurt was saying, Ron's idea was great. How wonderful is that we would be able to help an organization by a different means. So if that person doesn't have the financial means to do X, but they can do Z by supporting the nonprofit. It really is a great idea. And any way that we can help within our business, maybe I can, for example, I can maybe do a month of free coaching. There's just so many ways. It's just get creative. Let's work together, share our ideas. And another thing about the nonprofit, that while yes, we're going to have a lot of people there who have their nonprofits, invite other people who want to learn about nonprofits. They might come there and learn something about a nonprofit that might be able to help them. Like I'm still learning about nonprofits or organizations that can help my mom. Dementia is new to me. I'm still learning about it. And until it hits home, until you're living it, you don't really know. But coming into a platform like HMP Nonprofit is a way to grow and learn, so that if you come across it for you or anyone you know, hey, you're ready. And like I said before, knowledge is power. And with power comes great responsibility. As Spider-Man said, as his uncle said. So definitely come join us, because listen, how many times have you all heard us laugh and smile? And we have so much fun. We're supporting each other and we love each other. And we'd love for you to come and hang out with us. I always tell people, come play with me, because at the end of the day, it's almost like we're networking, but we're having so much fun. It's like we're playing. So come support us. Come play. You'll love it.
I have Miss Maria who joined us. Hi, Maria.
Hi guys. Yeah, definitely. I work with a lot of non-profits. So I've always worked with non-profits. So most of my work has been voluntary with non-profits, and I also a partner with, I help and support a lot of people in Glasgow and across the globe. I help and support like Simone Moore. She is a stress management yoga coach, and she does a lot of work with non-profit. She is the first woman ever to set up in Cambodia a relief house for women and children to escape domestic violence, Emily. So I would like to link you up with her. She's amazing, awesome human being. And with her support, her and her guidance, she does a lot of work with like mental health and emotional support. So during, because I don't know if a lot of you may not realise, is today's my birthday. Hey, I'm 51. Thank you. But I also have got long COVID, and now a lot of people don't realise, and what Denise said about dementia and Alzheimer, it's really true. Because I'm also now the head of an organisation of welfare and wellness, I have done a lot of research, and I work with TV and film and media. I've done a lot of research, and I've found out so many people don't understand what's available in their local area or globally, internationally, what's available, Denise. And it can be really, really hard for people to navigate and find it themselves. When my mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer in 2017, I was kind of left to do a lot of it on my own, and finding all the information about cancer. We've got a lot of amazing non-profits here that work with people with cancer sufferers, and it was really difficult. Because when you're dealing with cancer and you're dealing with that, then you've got to find like information about cancer. You've got to find information, how to get a bed, how can you support them, how can you fight for them to survive. Because my mum was told if she gets an operation, she won't survive it. And then trying to come to terms with that in your head, then holding down a job, then holding down life at the same time, and seeing any family member pass away from cancer is devastating. And you try to hold on, you try to do their best, then you beat yourself up. And we're our own worst enemies. We beat ourselves up so much that we've not done our best. And it's really important to say, hey, I fought for my mum to get blood transfusions. I fought for my mum to get this and that. And for me, cancer affects every single, it doesn't matter if they're older or younger, cancer is cancer. And when you see someone that you love pass away, and my mum got dementia, and my mum was going back to speaking Italian. So when you have dementia, when I grew up in Scotland, but my first language was Italian. So I had to speak to my mum in Italian. So when I went into the hospital, I had to translate for my mum. And the doctors were saying to me, tell your mum that we can't do anything more. And it's like really, really difficult to say that to your mum. And I felt, okay, I'll say it to my mum. And then my mum, the nurses told me later on that my mum was crying in the hospital, but she didn't tell me. So I felt so many wonderful people that go into hospitals, non-profits, befrienders, people that go and befriend those that are in hospital or care homes that don't have family. They go in and volunteer to talk and bring in pets. And my mum used to go into the local care home with my pet. And it was really lovely that she did that. And I think it's really important to reach out and support every single human being that you can. And with emotional intelligence package that I got with Simone Moore, that helped me cope. And it's real, you need to be able to cope with stuff like that. And it's tough. It's really tough. And like either you learn from life or you don't. And I think you have to learn to be compassionate, but be truly compassionate. And not just say the word compassionate, but actually act compassionately and be compassionate. And also, like Emily, she works with homeless. I worked with homeless for 5 years in the UK, in Scotland. I've worked with like special needs. I do it all in voluntary and look with a lot of non-profits. And for me, it's important that you support your non-profits right now, especially with COVID. It's really important that you realise that out there, there's people. I survived COVID and I had 23 out of 25 symptoms of COVID. I've still got long COVID. So I was really ill. And I survived sepsis. I've survived so many different things, but it made me realise that I'm lucky. There's people out there worse than me. And it's important to realise that. And it's important to realise that you matter. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's important to be kind to every single person you can meet and kill people with kindness. I love Keanu Reeves. His motto, what he says in film and TV, because I work in film and TV, that's what I stand for. I've always stood for that. And I believe good things happen to good people. If you work hard and you're kind and you're considerate, you will. It's like, for example, life is like an orange. You have an orange, you pick up a segment, you eat, and then let's say you finish that segment, then you go on to another segment. Life is like an orange. You peel it, or like an onion. There's so many layers to life. some days are darker than other days. Absolutely. And to say that we haven't been affected by the pandemic, and mental health non-profits are struggling right now because they can't cope with so much. It's just struggling, and we have to be united as a global unity to say there's so more than uniters than dividers. For me, as a disability rights activist and mental health awareness activist, and also a trained mental health first aider trained by NHS Scotland, when the pandemic hit, I put down my work and I contacted people and gave them calls to ask them if they're okay. And I did that. I didn't get paid for that. It's not about payment for me. It's about being there for other human beings. And today I haven't been able to go out for my birthday. And I've had my birthday on my own, and it's been tough. I'm not going to lie. I was supposed to go to my friend's birthday a few days ago, out, but I couldn't because of long COVID. I've never missed a birthday, ever. I felt terrible. And I feel that I've let a lot of people down because of long COVID. But I keep on looking at the achievements that I've done. And if they have to understand long COVID and what I'm going through, and the fact of doing HMP ability, and fact of doing a lot of volunteer work takes a lot of time as well. It takes time, it takes effort to educate people. And I want to be able, when I pass away in the future, I want to look back at this time of crisis. Did I step up, or did I not do anything? And I want to lead by example. And I want to say, you matter. And I think it's leading from the top down. It's asking those questions. It's working with non-profits, collaborating with non-profits. And that's the reason why I'm so looking forward to working and to unite non-profits together. Because there's so many non-profits that do the same thing across the globe. Let's unite them all together, and that's going to make them much, much stronger, united. Emily, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important to collaborate with everybody, and I agree with what you were saying.
Because I think it's so much, you're more powerful if you collaborate together. If you're doing you're on the same mission. Because as a collective source, you're much, much more powerful than being on your own, one lone voice. But if you combine those voices together, it's much more powerful. Denise, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Sorry, my mic was off. Absolutely. Collaboration's so important. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry about your mom, and I know that you're going through the long COVID and it's been difficult, but
yeah, it was tough last week. It was her birthday last week, in the 25th of August, so it's been tough. And when my mum was diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer, it was me that found out about that. So the day before her first birthday without her, I actually was taken into hospital. Denise, I haven't told the story a lot. And I had an endoscopy due to the fact that I've got prelude to cancer in my family. So I've got the cancer gene. So I have to be monitored really, really carefully. And they found non-cancerous tumours in my stomach the day before my mum's first birthday without her. And that brought me back to when they took me into a room and told me after my mum had it that they found a lesion in her stomach and they found blood in her stomach, and the doctor wasn't holding up much hope. But every person is different, so it doesn't mean to say when you get those diagnoses it was going to turn out like me. Hopefully not. But that just set me back and gave me flashbacks. So it led to me to having PTSD. You can understand why. But I'm gonna get better. I know my mum's watching me, and as I said, you know that my mum was an ex-nun, and she brought me up to care about every human being and animal.
Yes. Absolutely, you're going to get better.
How's your mum doing? Denise, how's she doing?
She's doing well, you know, but definitely it's like, you know, collaborating with each other and helping each other out and being there for each other. That's what this is all about. And the fact that we're here talking about all these great nonprofits that we can help people out in and coming to the HMP nonprofit.
Absolutely. Denise, you not think until you're faced with having somebody with dementia, like you're not faced with a mother, our mothers, and we're also carers, but we also have a disability as well. It's really challenging and tough. It can be emotionally draining, but you have to have resilience in yourself.
Yeah.
Find that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And you have to shift with the times, and you have to
Absolutely. You have to shift your mental focus.
Yeah.
And you have to have resilience and find those things that helped you. And I'm so lucky to have Simone in my back corner. She's amazing. She is a stress yoga therapist. She helped me tremendously. Honestly, she's a star. She helped me cope so much. Kurt, you've been quiet.
Sorry about that. I just had my dog was a little bit riled up here, and I had to figure out what I could do to help calm her down and get her what she needed. She's outside right now, so let her out.
So, like I was saying to Emily and Denise, I don't think you realise how tough things are until you face that cut. Because the cancer journey is really difficult. Can be really easy to get help. For me, like people that do non-profit for cancer are amazing, and like Alzheimer's, dementia as well. And now we've got a non-profit that deal with human trafficking, homelessness. Emily, I just want to ask you a question. Have you seen more army vets now being homeless?
See more what with homeless?
Ex-army veterans. Have you seen like people that come back from serving for their country? Here in UK, there's been a lot of our ex-army veterans have finding it tough to like find a job, tough to get employment, tough to get accommodation, and also those who have disabilities are finding it harder, more challenging. Those who have hidden disabilities and those who have physical disability. Is that the same in America for people with disabilities and people who have came out of the armed forces? Do you see them having had a time?
We have it over here too.
Do you find that them getting a harder time finding accommodation, finding jobs, and finding employment?
Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah.
What do you think it is, Emily, that's causing that?
I think part of it is probably kind of a societal or cultural thing in regards to, for with people with disabilities,
Mhm.
among other like minority groups and that kind of thing.
Certainly.
And so,
Your
Karen, do you
non-profit
think
is
that's, you think that's,
your non-profit is quite unique. I love your
Mhm.
non-profit and what you do. It's such a unique non-profit, and I would love to have that like really planted across the globe, because I thought you've tapped on something that is really simple to do and simple to use. And you think that could be that I'm going to put this to Emmeline Cott. Do you think that could be across the globe as a solution, Cott, Emily?
what was your solution?
So the solution of what your non-profit does, how you have like homeless people, and you give them access to online jobs. You give them access to computers.
I think it can certainly always help.
And then after 6
I
months,
can always contribute to a solution.
and is that after 6 months they get employed? Is that right?
Yes.
That sounds fantastic. Can't you
I don't know if it's the whole solution, but it's like part of it, or can contribute.
I know it can't be the whole solution because everybody's different. Carl, you've done a lot with non-profits.
Yeah, I have.
How many years have you worked in non-profits?
Well, depends on to what degree you're talking about. I mean, I grew up in a family where my parents and grandparents and other relatives and friends belonged to Lions International, which also had Lioness, and then Knights of Columbus, Ladies of Columbus. So, like with Knights of Columbus, I, as a kid, was
Yeah,
to take donations and
yeah, I can understand that.
collect or hand out Tootsie Rolls with the Knights of Columbus. And then my grandfather with with a Lions event, he headed up like a ring toss onto the bottles. And so I, as a kid, had the apron and I was taking the money that the people at the fair could shoot their rings at the bottles. And so I'm 49 years old. In some sense, you could say it's almost like 49 years, to some degree.
Absolutely. I can understand because my mum was a member of St. Vincent de Paul. Okay. And she was also Legion of Mary. We did in St. Vincent de Paul. I did a soup kitchen for a long, long time. So I worked giving out soup to the homeless. So absolutely. So I was especially having a mum that's an ex-nun, whereas we went to mass every Sunday. If my mum could, she would have us go to mass like 4 times a day, but my mum never put that onto us. So yeah, I can understand. And a lot of faith-based organisations do a lot of work with non-profits, and they do, and now they're also working and also tackling human trafficking as well. There's a lot of non-profits, faith groups doing that as well. They're tackling that as well. Have you seen like the role of non-profits since COVID? Have you seen it rising, Kurt? The role of non-profits with COVID?
Seeing a rise of...
Have you seen a rise of people needing help because of COVID fear using non-profits. We here in the UK, we've seen a rise of, like, for example, food banks with COVID. We've seen a rise of non-profits setting up food banks for people due to the fact they can't afford like food. So we've seen the rise of a lot of non-profits for like food banks. And did you see that in America during when the start of the pandemic?
I'm gonna venture a guess. I don't know, but I'm gonna guess that is the case. I'm just not, running those circles. I mean, my days, I'm pretty well devoted to the Happy Neighborhood Project and what Emily and I are working on. And so to branch off and to be in touch with that, I'm kind of a year out of it because I made the transition to the Happy Neighborhood Project. But I would guess that that's got to be the case because I'm not hearing that like the US government is through agency work responding to any added needs. So so that's kind of what the 501c3 IRS designation was established for decades ago, was so that when there are these gaps that the nonprofits can step in and organize as a community and do this stuff fluidly 24/7, 365 days a year. And so it's an interesting nuance that that demand is there, and the nonprofits in some cases like ours with Onward and Upward, we wish we could do more. But in terms of balancing the team on the people side and then the funding on the fundraising side and with grants, we just haven't found that balance to really succeed, I guess, in having a strong fiscal year throughout every week. It seems like we kind of get these snags in our pattern where we're kind of trying to catch up all the time. So but to your question about because of COVID, I would guess that there is a lot of that going out there. I just happen to not be in those places to be able to verify.
Okay. Quickly, Kurt, can we end this for Marcus? Or because he'll keep talking. Thanks everybody for tuning in for the Onward and Upward podcast today. If you are interested in doing anything with Onward and Upward, feel free to please contact us either at 608-515-8227 or contact at onwardupwardinc.com. Kurt, do you want to give your information as well or ending?
Sure. I always like to encourage everybody to visit worldofability.com/shows to see the background information on our sister shows, Compassionate Citizens, Prosperity Pathways, and World of Ability. And then otherwise just having that connection to the network that we all are privileged to be able to have and to work with, and to invite our global contacts in to be a part of. And we appreciate all of the response to our YouTube channel and Facebook and social media otherwise, and our Clubhouse. So we always lead these Friendly Fridays podcastings with a Clubhouse event. So keep in touch with us on that. So feel free to email me anytime, Kurt at thedisabilitychannel.us, and call and or text me 262-372-1SKI. That's 262-372-1754. So with that, Emily, continue on with your wrap up.